Previously on Higurashi When They Cry console arcs.
ところで、最後にあんたのことを聞こうじゃないか。
Sonozaki turned toward Miyuki-chan's knapsack. There was certainly more than just camping equipment in there. Like the handgun she used to fight the men in black.
そうです。もうこうなったら隠しても無意味か。
Miyuki-chan responded to Sonozaki-san's sharp gaze by shrugging her shoulders, then pulled something resembling a small black notebook from her breast pocket, flipped the cover over, and turned it towards us. There was a gold badge inside. A police badge. Dun dun dun!
やっぱりね。ヤクザにしちゃ品が良すぎると思っていたんだよ。
社交辞令、どうも、龍之介さん。今まで隠していてごめんなさい。私、フリーライターじゃないんです。
うすうす感づいてはいたけど。
先代が死んだ時、私が次期当主として園崎家をまとめるはずだった。だがまだ若すぎるってことで、その役目は私じゃなく、母さんが担うことになったんだ。そいつを面白く思わない奴がいてね。古くからの組の重鎮を中心とした一派が出て分裂したんだよ。
それじゃあ、そいつらがミオンさんを狙っていた黒服の連中ですか？
その通り。奴らは私が園崎本家を古式にのっとった正当な形で継承してないなんてイチャモンをつけてきてる。
So they aren't involved with the conspiracy behind the Hinamizawa disaster is what you're saying.
あれは園崎家の内部構想ってわけか。
I thought back on the men in black who were here earlier and shivered. In that sense, they're even worse than ghosts.
何が正しいのかなんて本人以外に分かりっこないさ。ただ、あの子は一生懸命生きて一生懸命愛した男を自分なりに考え抜いた末に殺しちまった。もし黒沢の最後の言葉を聞いていなければ、遅かれ早かれ隠し続けた絶望に潰されて結局破滅するしかなかったはず。だけどあの子は戻ってきた。いや、戻してもらえたって言った方が正しいのかな。あとは十和だが、それを力の限り後悔して、それからどうすればいいのか考えるのさ。黒沢の気持ちを無駄にしないよう、一生懸命にね。
でも、どんなに一生懸命に考えたって、間違ったことをしたらしょうがないし、ましてや、犯した罪は消えないでしょ。
そりゃそうさ。
芥川さん、マチちゃん、千秋さん、死に急ぐあなたたちを止めればよかった。一人いい加減な気持ちでこんなところへやってきて、僕だけ逃げ出して、おまけに死んでいくあなたたちを見殺しにして、愚かで弱い僕を、どうか許してください。
He sincerely lowered his head all the way down to the muddy soil. Sonozaki-san and I could only watch, as Otobe remained like that. Religious teachings state that the souls of those who commit suicide can never find peace. Even if that's just superstition, throwing away the life that your parents gave you is something that should never be done, no matter the reason. What parent has no aspirations for the child they gave birth to? What parent doesn't feel the joy of watching their child grow up?
僕は人生を諦めて逃げ出してしまったけれど、どんな理由であれ、自殺を思いとどまった君に頑張れって。
芥川さん、
乙部くん、頑張ってね。乙部くん、頑張って。
乙部君、頑張れ。
千秋さん、まちちゃん、芥川さん、 ありがとう。僕は、行きます。精一杯。
Otobe closed the car door and lowered his head once again, with his eyes full of tears. Sonozaki-san gently patted him on the shoulder while giving him a comforting smile.
人生は歯磨き粉のチューブみたいなもんさ。
ミオンさん。
チューブの最後のひとひねりまで使い切ってこそ人生なんだよ。
That's one hell of an analogy. Is this a dream? An illusion? Or maybe...
早く行かねえと。
Someone dressed in a school uniform slipped by my side, running like the wind. It was him.
ちくしょう、遅刻だ。早く行かねえとやべえぞ。
待ってよ、ケイチ君。
Then, a girl dressed in a skirt ran by my other side. It was her.
誰が早く着くか競争だよ。先に自分の席に着いた人が勝ち。
よーし、望むところだ。男の体力なめんなよ。
The two of them gently looked back at me and waved. They were bursting with energy, with huge smiles on their faces.
遅えぞ、ミオン。
みーちゃん、早くおいでよ。
レナ、ケイちゃん。
ここにいると知っていながら挑んでくるた。なかなか潔い。さすが度胸だけは先代に引けを取らんな。
Do I know you?
元園崎家当主代行、園崎ミオン。
はっ、じゃらじゃら子分を引き連れてちゃ大口叩いても様にならないね、ミフネ。
The man she called Mifune twisted the edge of his mouth into a thin smile.
母さんを撃ったのはお前の仕業なんだろう。先代に忠誠を尽くしてきたお前がまさか園崎家を裏切るような真似をするとはね。よくもまあのこのこと園崎家の敷居をまたげたもんだね。
お言葉を返すようだが、裏切ったなど言われる筋合いはない。園崎組を締め上げるような立場、女のあんたには務まらないと進言したまでだ。
もうすぐ妹がここへ来る。私にそっくりだからすぐにわかる。心霊をそいつに。
ミオンさん、喋らないでください。
But isn't she dead?
わかりましたから。もう大丈夫ですから。
最後の最後に面倒なことを頼んですまないね。
必ず心霊を見つけ出して妹さんに渡します。約束します。
ありがとう。面倒ついでにお会い一つ。
The harsh sound of heavy impacts against the door echoed through the room. They were likely to break through any moment now. My senses have gotten a lot sharper since I came here. What have I been doing in the city all this time? While I was walking through life as a writer, somewhere along the way I lost faith in my own talents. When things didn't go well, I'd get desperate. I managed to get by passing myself off as a popular writer. But I've worried over whether it was the right thing for me. Many times now, I've wondered if I could have another life. However, I was shown that those sorts of worries were nothing more than calculations for living a good life. By Sonozaki-san's tenacity. If all human beings are born to fulfill some purpose, then I want to serve my purpose as well. There's no need to search for what that is. There's no need to hesitate, to fret which way is right, or worry about what would be easiest. I'll just face the things in front of me with all my strength. If my lifestyle is what enables me to do that, then it must have been fate that brought me to Hinamizawa. And so it continues. Greetings, my name's Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Higurashi when they cry console arcs. We gotta get the bell! The British are coming! Nah, I'm just kidding, just the Yakuza. But we really gotta get that bell. Like now, before they get us, and gut us, and then sever all our limbs from our torsos, and then mail each appendage to our family members. That's a Yakuza thing, right? Probably not. I reached the back room in no time at all. The sliding door was wide open. When I quietly looked inside, I saw a white-haired man dressed in a kimono, standing at the doorway with a gun in hand. Alright, Arakawa, now's your time to shine. Just point, don't let your hands tremble, and pull the trigger. That man must be Mifune, and his gun was pointed toward the floor. At Otobe? A wall scroll was laying on the floor, with a scabbard resting underneath. The Tamahajiki sword was inside the scabbard, and beyond the scroll was a cupboard with its doors open wide. And Otobe was grasping a heavy nickel bell in his hand. Suddenly, Mifune noticed me and turned back.
素人なんてる幕じゃねえんだ。おとなしくそいつを渡せや。おめえらのことは見なかったことにしてやる。
Okay, I believe you, said no one ever. Otobe turned toward the wall scroll instead of looking back at him, and his body was trembling. The shiny black muzzle of Mifune's gun filled the room with a tense atmosphere, knowing that he could fire at any moment.
Otobe.
My pathetically quiet voice quivered in fear. Now, Otobe, this is a prime opportunity for you, too. With this man's back turned towards you, you should lunge at his ankles and bite them. You're low enough to the ground. You can definitely do it, if you're fast enough. Oh, whoops. My pathetically quiet voice quivered in fear. Let me have it. But I didn't have the courage to say that. Just give him the bell, Otobe. No! Bite his ankles! If you hand it over, your life will be spared. You have not truly lived until you bite another man's ankles. If I could just say that, all this tension could be released. But I didn't have the nerve to say it. Now, Mifune was standing in the room with his muzzle aimed directly at Otobe. Yeah, I guess it would be a problem to try to bite his ankles if his muzzle pointed right at you. Even if I try to persuade Otobe, if I speak up now, I'll be his new target. If that were to happen, I'd be completely at his mercy. But if not, I'd simply be an outsider. In other words, I can still continue just being just a bystander at this stage. It's important to be safe. And it'll all be for nothing if you die. So, just give him the bell. Spoken like a true coward. Isn't it absurd to throw your life away on behalf of a woman you only just met yesterday? I suppose it kind of would be, but, I mean, these are admittedly very extenuating circumstances we're going through. You have to recognize what's important. This isn't the place to abandon your life. I firmly turned my eyes toward Otobe, continuing to persuade him in my mind. Toss him the bell and run, Otobe.
嫌です。
Otobe slowly turned and looked at me. Not Mifune. The person Otobe chose to face was me. I was probably even more surprised by Otobe's courage than Mifune was.
Otobe.
Can friendship blossom under any circumstances? Not any, but sometimes surprising circumstances. How long does it take to grow? Depends on the people. At the very least, it doesn't matter when we first met. What matters is how deeply he was able to impact my life. Well, I will admit, Otobe certainly can leave an impact, if only for the wrong reasons. Even people I'd known for over 10 years, I'd be able to sweep them aside. Some friend you are. But Otobe was different. Whether or not to continue associating with Otobe wasn't the problem. He's the ultimate coward. He couldn't even kill himself. But I might really be starting to like the guy. Birds of a feather. I couldn't just consider his lifestyle none of my business. Even I struggled with whether to change jobs or how I was going to live my life in the future. Balancing the two of us on the scales of self-interest, I came to Hinamizawa looking for a convenient answer, while Otobe came here to commit suicide. Just how different were we? But Otobe was determined to protect the belle of his life, so I'll support him. Yeah, can't really let yourself be upstaged by the ultimate coward now, can you? I've decided. I'm going to overcome my own weakness. Attaboy. That's what Sonozaki-san was telling me. The important thing isn't the end result, or what excuses you make, or how cool you look. It always matters how cool you look. What's truly important is to face the things you value head on, while looking cool.
So gai.
Yeah.
なら仕方がない。あの女の後を追うがいい。
I uttered a bizarre cry and leapt out at Mifune without hesitation. Surprised by my unconventional battle cry, I was able to get in close with a desperate attack and smacked a gun out of Mifune's hand. It rolled down to the tatami floor.
Otobe! そいつを持って逃げろ! 早く! やろう!
Mifune mercilessly punched me in the jaw. He was far stronger than he looked. My beautiful glasses were blown right off, and the pain ran through my nose as it started to bleed. What is it with you and calling things beautiful? But my will didn't weaken. In fact, it grew stronger, so I clung to Mifune. Once I got hold of Mifune, I sunk my teeth into the old, frail skin of his neck. Oh, damn, Arakawa, you're going hardcore! This was no longer a struggle. It was a legitimate fight. He's getting in touch with his primal rage, that's what's up.
Otobe! Ike! Ike! Ike!
Arakawa-san!
After witnessing that, Otobe finally decided to start running. However, in addition to the handgun by his feet, Mifune had another gun hidden in his other hand. Mifune used all the strength in his body to smack me in the forehead with the gun barrel. Ooh, that's gonna hurt. I felt dizzy, and the world around me grew dark. Now I'd never been on the receiving end of a pistol whip, or whether it be on the butt of the gun or on the barrel, but I do hear it hurts like hell. I tried to run, but what's this? My body can't move. I fell down to my knees and used both my hands to support my body on the floor. I have to keep going. I have to protect Otobe. However, both my arms were too weak to support my body, so I fell face down on the floor. Use your legs!
さあ、神霊を渡してもらおうかな。
Otobe stood still, clutching the bell in his hand. Run, Otobe. Stop standing around and run out! Get out of here with the precious jingle bell! The moment Mifune pulled the trigger, his whole body shook violently. Then, Mifune bent back and collapsed to his knees on the ground.
No.
Standing behind Mifune was a woman dressed in a kimono, holding a katana. The woman who should have been dead. Mion Sonozaki. No, I think this is Shion. Hello, Shion. You seem to be aging pretty gracefully yourself.
Mifune.
Sonozaki-san had a katana in hand, and her mouth was stained red with blood. Mifune was collapsed on the floor, not moving at all.
Mion-san! Mion-san! 無事だったんですね。よかった。本当によかった。
園崎さん。
In my hazy state of consciousness, I could see Sonozaki-san's strong-willed eyes gazing down at me. Her expression was cold, cruel, like she was looking down at a lesser being, with an aloof glimmer in her eyes. No, that's not quite it. If anything, it was the callous gaze of someone looking at a total stranger.
園崎さん。貴様ら、よくも親分を。
Just then, several men in black suits came into the room all at once. Oh boy, they got through. These must be the reinforcements Mifune called earlier.
やるしかないね。
Sonozaki-san readied her katana. In the blink of an eye, a dozen men in black rushed into the back room. And then they saw Mifune collapse by the doorway. The flames of hatred burned in their eyes.
親分てめえらよくも親分を
この野郎ただで帰れると思うなよ
As if I want to go out easy. Sonozaki-san said nothing in response. She just continued to gently looking forward, with her hand on the sword. Hmm? Huh? Something is different. I don't know what it is, but something is different.
行くぜ
The very moment the men in black gave their signal, Sonozaki-san turned back to us. So, we followed her order. Almost that exact moment, the men in black fired at us all at once. Sonozaki-san reached for the scroll on the floor, tossed it at the men in black to disrupt their firing, and then hid in the gap behind the backroom sliding door. You better pray that they don't shoot that thing.
逃がすな絶対に殺せ
The men in black started firing indiscriminately. However,
下手くそだね。弾の無駄だよ。
Sonozaki-san emerged from behind the sliding door to strike at them one by one.
そらそらそらそらそら、しっかり狙いなってんだ。
Just as I thought, something was definitely different. Her fighting style was different. Her atmosphere was different. But I couldn't understand why. The next moment, as I stared at Sonozaki-san and pondered that, something cold suddenly pressed against me. The barrel of a gun. Just as I looked back, I heard the click of a trigger being drawn. Oh no, this is bad. But when the gunshot rang out, the man in black was the one blown away. Thanks, Otobe.
大丈夫ですか龍之介さん。
Never mind. Thanks, Miyuki. When I looked in that direction, the person holding the gun was... Miyuki-chan?
みゆきちゃん
Miyuki-chan rushed over to me with her smoking gun still in hand. Then, she held her gun up and aimed at the men in black one by one as if to shield me. You must have rode that damn bike like a goddamn speed demon, if you're already back with reinforcements. Like seriously, how'd you get back so fast? Did you just manage to find a way to ride the bike on top of the trees or something? Yuki-chan thrust me away and continued fighting back. Then, the gunshots grew even more intense. The number of bullets in flight escalated in a flash. And Miyuki-chan wasn't the only one responsible for that. Okay, realistically speaking, I don't think she could have gotten help quite that quickly, so she might have just turned back. After a quick look, I noticed several men dressed in suits. Every last one of them must be a police officer. I spoke too soon! Apparently she really does work that fast. She really must have rode that bike on top of all the trees. The men in black and the police officers were having an intense gunfight. Honestly, the police officers seemed shocked that the situation required so much gunfire. If ordinary people like Otobe and I poked our heads out, we'd be shot dead in an instant. This spectacle was fit to be called a battlefield. After cutting off their movements, Miyuki-chan boldly rushed toward the men in black. That's a damn good way to get yourself killed. In real life, obviously. But seeing how this is fiction land... Bullets struck the ground by her feet and bounced across the tatami floor. Don't slip! But Miyuki-chan courageously pushed forward, skillfully took cover, and then quickly fired her pistol several times.
Miyuki-chan?
It was hard to imagine that trash talk come from someone with a face like hers. And when I looked more carefully, I noticed that none of the bullets Miyuki-chan and her cohorts were firing struck in positions that would cause fatal injuries. That precision shooting was to be expected of true professionals. An unskilled opponent would simply kill them, but an expert can cut off their movements. It sounded like reciting phrases from some book, but Sonozaki-san and Miyuki-chan deserve to be called experts. I'm not really sure that just simply shooting a person's limbs or non-vital areas really counts as being an expert. I think it's just something closer to approaching common sense if you're somebody who wants to disable your opponent with a gun without outright killing them. Just having a basic knowledge on human anatomy here would really help with that. I don't really think you need much more expertise than, you know, that. My eyes were fixated on Miyuki-chan's magnificent battle as she roared that out. I rushed to close the sliding door. But was it really alright to leave her there alone? Otobe ducked into the corner, next to me, to escape the bullet storm. Then, I noticed a kimono sleeve right next to him. It was Sonozaki-san.
Sonozaki-san! 怪我は大丈夫ですか? Sonozaki-san?
あんた、誰だい？
やだな。俺は荒川ですよ。荒川龍之介です。何の冗談ですか？
荒川龍之介？
I knew it. This Sonozaki-san was different somehow. What the hell?
もしかして、あなたが、ミオンさんの妹の、シオンさん。
How are you alive? If this is a timeline, and if this whole story is from takes place after the timeline where the school blows up, and one of the Sonozaki sisters dies, right? So how can you be here? As soon as Sonozaki-san heard that name, she suddenly looked up. But the absent-minded gaze in her eyes gradually returned to normal.
どうしたんです？大丈夫ですか？シオンさん。
シオン。その名前は20年前に捨てたはず。なんでその名前をあんたたちが？
Maybe because Mion told him?
あんた、その名前を誰から？っていうか私、どうしてここにいるの？
Wait, you don't know why you're here? It was our turn to be completely stunned. Could it be? Did Sonozaki-san lose her memory from the shock of being shot? Wouldn't explain the name change. As Otobe anxiously stared at Sonozaki-san, he suddenly remembered he was holding the bell.
そうだ。これ、ミオンさんが、シオンさんは必ずここへ来るから、来たら渡すようにって言われました。
ミオン？そんなバカな！お姉はもう20年以上前に死んでるよ。それってどういうこと？
おいおい。
Otobe and I turned to one another. After all, Mion Sonozaki was already dead. But if that was the case, then who was the woman standing before us that looked just like Mion Sonozaki?
おい、オトベ。もしかして、俺たちが会ってたのは、幽霊だったんじゃ。
やめてくださいよ、荒川さん。こんな時に変な冗談を言わないでください。現にほら、足だって。
I don't know. I can't see him. Shion, move back so I can look at your legs. Otobe slowly backed away from the woman that looked like Sonozaki-san. Indeed, she did have legs. But there were no traces of the massive blood flow draining from her chest earlier. and her feet should have been stained black from stepping through pools of blood, but her skin was clear and oddly beautiful.
どういうことだよ。
わかりませんよ。これって一体。
Just then, Shion-sen gasped and looked up, like she had remembered something.
そうだ。私はお姉に導かれてこのひなみ沢に来たんだ。
If the person we've been with up until now is actually Mion and she is a ghost, why did she age up? I would think that being dead here, you don't continue aging because, you know, you're dead. You don't have a body to age in. So, wouldn't your spirit just basically wouldn't your spirit normally just, you know, be who you were by the time you died? Age and experience and memories and all? Either that, or this particular story has a very interesting and somewhat weird concept of ghosts. The night before last, I had a hard time sleeping. I tossed and turned, falling asleep and waking up over and over. Until suddenly, I felt something by my bedside and opened my eyes. It was my sister. Mion was standing there.
シオン、ひなみ沢へ行きなさい。何？お姉、それってどういうこと？ひなみ沢に何があるっての？行けばわかるさ。あんたが今必要としているものがそこにある。園崎の跡目、みんなに認めさせなきゃまずいんでしょ？どうしてそれを？
My eyes were open wide in shock as I went to ask Mion for more information. However, Mion just flashed me an upbeaming smile and said, "Good luck," before vanishing into my dreams. Mion and everyone else died, and then the Great Hinamizawa disaster occurred. Naturally, I was hospitalized for a while to cope with the mental shock. However, Keiichi Maebara died shortly after that, which only made my mental state deteriorate even further. The curse of Orishiro-sama killed Kei-chan too. That means the next target of the curse is me. Is the curse going to kill me? Just like him? Am I going to die? The fear of that invisible threat continued to plague me every single night. It got so bad that even the doctors had given up on me. Naturally, people tried to seize that opportunity, and a conflict developed within the family. After Mion's death, we used the chaos of the subsequent great disaster to successfully replace her with me. In other words, we told everyone Shion was the one who died. But I was still in an unhealthy state. So those people started complaining that even I wasn't fit to be the successor. Of course, my parents stubbornly refused to listen. But I was certainly annoying, having no strength to convince them otherwise. It was certainly annoying, excuse me. It was during that time that Sis appeared before me. At first, I ran away screaming and crying, constantly begging for forgiveness. Don't kill me. Help me. No, I don't want to die! I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry! But when I was like that, Sis, Mion quietly spoke to me.
父さんと母さんを助けるんだ。 さっさと目覚めな、園崎ミオン。
Wait a minute. So, this whole... Are you saying that this entire time I've actually been with Shion, who had convinced herself that she was actually Mion? Well, okay. I mean, I guess that kind of would kind of explain the mystery as to how both of them could be here in the present. Answer being neither of them actually were. One was simply pretending to be the other. But how the hell did her injuries heal up? Huh? Was that Sis just now?
今はあんたがミオンなんだよ。こんなところで膝抱えて震えてる場合じゃないだろ。勝手だとは分かってるよ。あんたにもっともっと辛い思いをさせることになるってことくらいよく分かってるつもりだ。でもあんたにしかできないんだよ。
Sis.
だからあんたに返すよ、ミオンを。だから頼んだよ、ミオン。私の分まで。
At that point in time, Shion died. And I brought Mion back to this world. At any rate, I believed it had to been some sort of revelation, and decided to head to Hinamizawa by myself the next day. But I guess my movements were being monitored. I was attacked by one of Mifune's cars along the way. Still, even with them giving chase, I managed to get away. My car crashed through the guardrail and plunged to the bottom of the valley. Fortunately, I landed close to Hinamizawa. And thanks to the abundant foliage, I was able to avoid any major injuries. But the shock of the fall did cause me to faint.
それじゃあ、もしかして、今まで僕たちが一緒にいたのは、シオンさんに憑依したミオンさんの、そんなことって。
ありえるんじゃないか。この、Hinamizawaならさ。
I admitted I could understand quite well why Otobe would have a hard time believing it. But I felt like I could believe it. This is Hinamizawa, the place where the dead dwell. Like that time with Tawada-san, and again with Otobe. It's not strange at all for things to happen that defy common sense. That's right. Mion Sonozaki died over 20 years ago in a school hostage incident. But even though her body was destroyed, her heart never died. One of the reasons Mion Sonozaki's soul lingered in this world was to protect her sister. For those with a strong will, a powerful impression is left behind even in death. The persistence of Mion Sonozaki showed even after death. After witnessing that, I felt I could understand how her heart could remain even after her body was destroyed.
園崎さんは一族の一大事にいても立ってもいられなかったんだろう。だからあんたをHinamizawaへ呼んだ。あんたが探していた園崎家の跡目を継ぐための家宝、神霊のありかを教えるためにな。
おね。
Sonozaki-san let out a long sigh, then gazed off in the distance.
おねえって昔からそうなんです。おねえはいつも人のことばっかりで。
Even though they should have the same physical body, her face and tone of voice seemed slightly different from when she was Mion Sonozaki. It felt odd that the presence of mind differed even though the body was the same. That's twins for you. I wasn't sure if Otobe was thinking something similar, but he was staring intently at Sonozaki-san. And he carefully examined her whole body. But as soon as he looked at her chest, his complexion completely changed.
そういえばミオ、いや、シオンさん、傷は本当に大丈夫なんですか？
え？傷？あれ？
The bullet definitely struck her close to her heart, and there was still a burn mark left behind on her kimono. That's right. The bullet should have struck her heart. Let me guess. Mion managed to find a way to take the bullet for Shion. Right? That's why there's no trace of a wound on her body? Because Mion took the blow, so to speak?
Oh!
ああ、これは。
Sonozaki-san rested a hand on the bullet hole. It was truly a miracle that she survived.
お姉がいなかったら私、死んでいたんだね。
Note to self: if you want to basically become immortal, short of dying of old age, let a spirit possess you and take any lethal injury that you would otherwise suffer. Then poof, it goes away and you are fine as though nothing happened. Being a spirit medium in this setting would basically be the biggest plot armor you could ask for. Shion Sonozaki's consciousness was completely absent while she was under Mion Sonozaki's possession. And it's unbelievable, but while Mion Sonozaki was in control, she even shouldered the burden of the wounds on her body. Doesn't make any sense, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. As long as Mion Sonozaki was possessing that body, Mion was the one in danger of getting hurt, so Shion Sonozaki was left unscathed. Which is why she came out unhurt. Again, doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever.
すげえな、こいつは。姉さんの霊がいる限り無敵ってことじゃないか。
いや。
Oh wait, I didn't read that.
そんなことはないよ、もう。
Sonozaki-san turned to me with longing eyes and groaned while shaking her head. Then, she turned her gaze downward with a lonely look on her face.
これでお姉は本当に死んじゃったんだね。
So, she's super dead. First her body died, and now her spirit died too. So, super dead.
お姉が夢枕に立ったのは、あれが初めてじゃないんだ。それ以外でも、なんとなくだけど、私はいつもお姉の存在をずっと感じてた。でも今はそれがない。お姉はもういなくなっちゃったってこと、なんとなくわかるよ。
シオンさん。
園崎ミオンはもういない。きっともう、二度と現れない。ずっと私を見守ってくれていたお姉は、私の身代わりとなって大切な役目を果たし、この傷とともに消えた。そんな気がするよ。
Sonozaki-san gently stroked the bell she received from Otobe of her fingers. It felt like she was trying to express her love and gratitude for Mion Sonozaki through her fingertips, and display her resolve to protect the Sonozaki family with that bell. I could hear the boisterous shouts of the police officers coming from the garden. It grew quiet in the back room immediately after that. When I gently opened the sliding door, I found Miyuki-chan on the other end, handcuffing the men in black one by one. The detectives were chasing after several more men in black who fled to the garden.
あとはよろしくお願いします。
Miyuki-chan called out to the police officers beside her, then handed the handcuffed men in black off to the other detectives, who escorted them out of the back room one by one. It seemed like everything had already wrapped up without me realizing it.
みゆきちゃん。
龍之介さん、怪我はない？
Only my ego because I wasn't the one who was able to shoot Mifune, like Neosekken wanted him to.
ああ、違う。
Miyuki-chan rushed over to me to make sure I was alright. You know, I just now noticed something. This probably isn't the first. I don't think this is the first instance of this happening, but I'm quite certain it's not. But if she was running to me, then wouldn't the sound effect that played just now of someone running footsteps, wouldn't that get progressively louder? Shouldn't that get progressively louder as she was running towards me rather than, I don't know, say away from me, like what the actual sound effects would make you think it is happening? Unless Miyuki is some kind of supernatural being that somehow is able to dampen any noise she makes the closer she gets to you. That right there sounds like it could make for a very interesting horror story concept. I'll have to remember that. As I wiped away the blood running down my nose with my fingertips, she grabbed my cheeks with both her hands and peered at my face. My original idea, donut steal. A lot has happened since I first met Miyuki-chan yesterday morning, but seeing her in front of me like this, she looked really cute.
龍之介さんをこんな目に遭わせてごめんなさい。もっと早く来たかったんだけど。
You got here a hell of a lot faster than I thought you would, so I mean, don't knock yourself too much. As far as I'm concerned, you're pretty much super cop at this point.
いいって。全然平気だったから。それより、こっちこそごめんな。みゆきちゃんが来る前に全部片付けておけばよかったんだけど。
何言ってるんです。こういう時にこそ頼ってくれなきゃ。何のための国家権力なんですか？
Nonsense! We can defend ourselves just fine without the state. Miyuki-chan flashed a friendly smile. Like, seriously, all you gotta do is just give everybody guns. And if you can't give everybody guns, give everybody pitchforks and torches. And if you can't give everybody torches and pitchforks, give them spears. And if you can't give everybody spears, give them kitchen knives. Miyuki-chan flashed a friendly smile. Her smiling face seemed to soothe all my pain and weariness. All the muscles of my body loosened up, and I felt comfortable enough that I wouldn't even regret it if I died here. I wasn't sure if my feelings were able to get through to her, but Miyuki-chan looked back at me with a huge smile.
なあ、みゆきちゃん。
Well, I'm just gonna say here that if you manage to hook up with her, good, have fun not wearing the boots in the relationship. Love her being super cop and all.
その約束つうか。
She could cuff you, beat you up, and pistol whip you without even breaking a sweat, I'm sure, because she's just that awesome. And you probably deserve it too, especially if you took her rotisserie chicken out of the fridge.
いや、だから。
I continued to stammer as Miyuki-chan gazed at me. She looked like she was just waiting for the words to come out. But I suddenly started to feel embarrassed and turned away. What am I doing acting like some naive middle school boy? Don't forget how old you are. Social awkwardness knows no age. I speak from experience. Well, that's alright. At any rate, being good friends seems like a nice place to start.
さ、
龍之介さん、どうしたんですか？大丈夫ですか？
Miyuki-chan held my hand tight while firmly gazing into my eyes. Could it be? Is that handhold an invitation? Probably not. My heart was beating far more intensely than usual. But it was totally different tension from the gun battle earlier. It felt good.
みゆきちゃん。
龍之介さん。
With Miyuki-chan gazing up at me with a slight blush in her cheeks, my heart started beating so violently it felt like it was going to burst out of my body.
みゆきちゃん。
Come now. Now's your chance. I pulled Miyuki-chan's hand in closer, and with determination...
うちの娘に、何
Oh, man. Well, this is awkward. I heard a gruff voice coming from behind, and quickly let go of Miyuki-chan's hand. When I turned in that direction, a tall, slender man dressed in a suit put a hand on Miyuki-chan's shoulder and stared at me over his shoulder.
お父さん？
お父さん？
Oto-san!
どうもこんにちは。
Konnichiwa, Oto-san.
これの父です。
His frightening eyes were glaring straight at me, causing me to freeze up for a totally different reason this time. Oh, your poor heart. It's getting quite a workout with all this tension going on, isn't it? Who needs cardio when all you need to do is just put yourself through all these situations? In other words, it was hair-raising.
ですね、その、あれ？あなたは、赤坂さん？
I remember now. I'm certain that that was the detective from the Metropolitan Police Department that I'd met while investigating Hinamizawa tapes my father left behind. Akasaka-san seems to have changed a bit since I first met him. It was like he was a more dignified, solemn, awe-inspiring, and refined. Can I see him? Yo, Akasaka! You still got a character sprite, right? Can I see you? But what was Akasaka-san doing in Hinamizawa again?
あれ？もしかして君は荒川くん？
はい、そうです。
なんだ、君か。てっきり娘にどこの命知らずがちょっかいをかけているかと思ったよ。
He doesn't even remember you. I guess that must speak to how memorable of an individual you are, huh, Arakawa-kun?
いや、失敬失敬。
Arakawa, yeah, okay, I did get your name right. Akasaka-san seemed to grin broadly as soon as he recognized me. Akasaka-san, you may say that, but could you suppress that bloodlust that you could kill any insect that... Could you suppress that bloodlust that could kill any insect that got too close to you?
あれ？お父さん。
Now, Arakawa, you're not an insect. You're at the very least a barn animal.
龍之介さんと知り合いなの？
まあな。ん？龍之介？
いや、これは。
Uh-oh, you said his first name. I desperately tried to evade his questioning. Please, let me out of here. Yuki-chan's eyes were wide open in a daze as she watched all this.
いや、ひなみ沢の大災害の件で 隣町の沖宮に何度か来たことがあっただろう。その時、荒川くんが昔の取材テープの裏を取りに来たのが縁で、何度か。
そうだったの？
君もお父さんみたいに体を張った取材をしているみたいだね。だからといってあまり無理するんじゃないぞ。
はい。
I tried to give a suitable retort, but the truth is, my father actually met Akasaka-san too. When my father interviewed the survivor of the Great Hinamizawa disaster who predicted he would drown to death, he started to grow interested in the disaster itself. And during that investigation, the two of them got to know one another. And you didn't bring any of this up at any point earlier in the story. Why? Because you already knew Miyuki-chan's last name. Like, okay, am I just forgetting? Okay, did he actually bring up Akasaka at some point and I'm just forgetting he did? Because if that's not what, if I'm not actually forgetting anything here, then yeah, I repeat my question. Why you didn't bring this up earlier? Why? According to my father's investigation notes, Akasaka-sen claimed that a resident of Hinamizawa predicted his wife's death. So, meeting up with Akasaka-san, who my father met during his own investigation in Hinamizawa, felt like an act of fate.
君のお父さんはいい記者だった。
I read his articles.
君もお父さんに負けないようにな。
俺は父とは違いますから。自分の人生を自分に恥じないように歩いていくだけですよ。
And failing miserably, I might add. Akasaka-sen must have thought those comments were exceedingly pure for a man in his 30s like me. That's why he bitterly smiled. But there was a gentle warmth in his eyes.
はあ、世間って狭いものね。だったら出版社経由じゃなくてお父さんに繋いでもらった方が早かったかもね。
っていうかみゆきちゃん、さっきからお父さんって誰のこと？
Arakawa. She referred to Akasaka as Dad the instant he showed up. Are you telling me you did not notice this tiny little detail? And you call yourself a journalist? Arakawa-kun. My boy, my man, my chum. What is wrong with you?
え？ああ、これうちのお父さんなの。
No, wait, you did notice? Wait, no. You did notice, that's right. Did you just forget? I repeat, Arakawa, what is wrong with you, my man? Do you need an intervention? Are you on some kind of illicit substance that you shouldn't be on that is impacting your cognitive functions? Do I need to call the narcotics department? Akasaka-san is Miyuki-chan's father? They're nothing alike. Not at all. How could someone as cute as Miyuki-chan be born from someone like Akasaka-san? I can't believe it. You calling Akasaka ugly? But, looking a little closer, Akasaka-san didn't look so bad himself. Huh? So, the two of them really are father and daughter? Yes, they've said as much. Twice. Unbelievable. Impossible. Absolutely absurd. And why is that? Do you have some kind of DNA test that shows that they aren't biologically related or something?
荒川君は確かに好青年だが、お前、浮気して旦那を泣かせるなよ。
Oh, you poor, poor, poor man. She's already taken. Oh, man. Remind me to buy you some tissues later, because I have a feeling you're going to be going through a lot of them tonight. And probably some water, too, to rehydrate. With all those tears you'll be shedding and all.
何言ってるのよ。バカ言ってないで、さっさと準備始めてよね。
じゃあ、また。
Akasaka-san let out a small smile and bowed to me, then walked off in the direction of Mifune's corpse. And I don't even get to see you. This is an outrage. No. More importantly, Akasaka-san just said something really important just now, didn't he? Yes, he did. He did, as a matter of fact. Now, Mr. Tabloid Journalist, would you be so kind as to enlighten me what detail you think you've noticed? Maybe restore some of my faith in your journalistic capability while you're at it.
旦那？旦那って何？
Okay, he did notice. I guess he's not totally hopeless after all.
困った父でしょ。
いや、赤坂さんの娘って。だって、みゆきちゃんの名字は反町で。
Well, I get on his case about his memory, but I should probably do that towards myself too, while I'm at it. Totally forgot that's the last name she was going by. I'm sorry, Arakawa-kun. I had no right to criticize you for your memory issues. I am well and truly sorry. Not sarcasm, by the way.
ええ。私、結婚して名字が変わったの。私たち、親子揃って刑事なのよ。さらに言えば、私の夫も刑事。
And I'm sure Daddy really approves of that.
変な一家でしょ。
A family of Snoops!
どうし
Miyuki-chan lightly smiled as she said that. I, on the other hand, couldn't laugh about it. I already did. Miyuki-chan was married this whole time? My shock must have been plain to see. Miyuki-chan deeply lowered her head and said I'm sorry several times in a row.
彼氏はいないんだけど、旦那様はいたの。最初はいたずらのつもりだったんだけど、なかなか打ち明ける機会がなくって。
Sounds like she was planning to drop the "Actually, I'm married" on me at some point and have a good laugh at my expense. But up until now, we never really had a moment to relax. The timing just wasn't appropriate to reveal it and laugh at the "What? Really?" reaction.
もしかして龍之介さん、私のこと？
Am sad, lonely, and miserable? Right now I definitely am, yes. Thanks for noticing. As she said that, Miyuki-chan looked terribly distraught, afraid to face me directly. Look at the hearts you've shattered! Look at your handiwork! And laugh, like I did. She wasn't trying to lead me around, but she seems terribly upset that she might have carelessly hurt me. Well, I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. Still, her intentions weren't malicious, so it was my duty as a man to make things easier on her. Probably.
そんなことないって。ただ、俺の知ってる赤坂さんの娘がみゆきちゃんだったなんて、世間は狭いなーって驚いただけさ。だから全然気にしなくていいって。
本当に？
You know, now that I also think about it, her last name being different from Akasaka's Well, no, maybe I shouldn't be so quite as hard on myself on this little detail, because I just assumed she was just running under an alias the whole time. I didn't think she actually was, that was her actual last name, and that she just took it upon marrying somebody. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is an honest mistake. I think. Maybe.
あ、本当に
よかった。
Miyuki-chan flashed me a big grin. I had no choice but to nod to her with a vague smile. Goodbye, my innocent love. Well, it's not like it really began in the first place.
まずい。ここにいると面倒なことになるから、龍之介さんたちは行って。
え？
ここにいると、いろんな手続きとかなんやらで、教授、あとは警察に任せてください。
Miyuki-chan pushed me by the back, trying to drive me away. It certainly would be a bother to stick around in a place where police are conducting an on-site investigations and interrogations. At that point, I realized that Sonozaki-san and Otobe had long since disappeared. Where the fuck did you two go?
それじゃ、みゆきちゃん。
龍之介さん、いろいろありがとう。
Miyuki-chan deeply bowed her head. I lightly lowered my head in response, then headed out of the back room. Once I reached the gate, I took one more look toward the back room, and saw Miyuki-chan standing on the side, smiling and waving as she watched me head out. I was a little out of touch, or slow, on the subject of romance, and I was led astray. But, yeah, she's a good girl. I'll send her an email next time I have an opportunity. I'd be proud to consider her a friend who endured the situation without falling into a bad relationship. Several patrol cars were parked outside the gate. So, which way did they go? For now, I decided to walk in the direction I came from. Before long, I found Otobe and Sonozaki-san sitting on a big stone by the side of the road, waiting for me. You left me!
Otobe! Sonozaki-san!
I ran toward them. You left me all alone to get my heart broken! Where are my tissues? Then, a familiar girl came walking this way from the other end of the street. Oh, thank God! You chose not to eat 9mm lead.
よかった、無事で。
乙部君もみんな無事で何よりです。
Otobe grabbed Tawasan's hand and gave her a huge smile to celebrate that they were both alive.
あ、園崎さんにお借りした銃お返しします。ありがとうございました。あ、うん。
Tawasan handed the gun she borrowed from Mion-san over to Shion-san. Shion-san seemed a bit confused, but she decided to leave it at that since a proper explanation would have taken far too long. Then, once we realized that Tawasan came to see us off, we all turned toward her.
そうだ。十和田さんはこれから
That's actually a good question.
どうするんですか?
That's actually a good question. I can't imagine that, yeah, I mean, you murdered your boyfriend, so I don't know. I couldn't even begin to tell you what to do from that point if you're not going to turn yourself in.
私、皆さんが去った後、匠くんと向かい合って、
話し合って決めたんです。新しい人生をもう一度やり直すって。そのためのみそぎとして自首するつもりです。
You're actually going to own up to your crime. Well, that's definitely the difficult road, but the moral one, so I definitely gotta give you props for that. Just good luck with the rest of your life. And I do mean that, because I mean, this is something that's going to follow you to the grave. The reputation of being a murderer and your boyfriend. Life's not going to be easy.
そうか。
僕も新しい人生をやり直そうって思います。
And being a giant coward with poor financial sense is going to definitely probably follow you to your grave too. So good luck to you too, Otobe.
借金を返済する方法を模索します。親にもちゃんと話します。
You might want to hit the gym first so you can better take the beating that Daddy's probably going to give you. Having the extra muscle mass does help with that
探
sort
せば
of
き
thing.
っと道は開ける。
Make it hurt less, I mean.
それはきっと楽なことではないだろうけど、僕はもう逃げたりしないって決めたから。
Life is like a tube of toothpaste. That toothpaste analogy again? You have to squeeze every last drop out of it. Seriously, that's the sort of analogy I would expect a dentist to come up with. Stop using it. It's weird. I thought back on what Mion-san said earlier. I certainly agree with that assessment. Rather than hesitating, the best choice at any given time is to simply do whatever you can.
荒川さん、僕がすべて片付けた後に、もしよかったら助手として雇ってもらえませんか？
You got any writing talent?
バーカ、俺はそんな偉いもんじゃねえよ。売れっ子ライターなんて嘘。オンボロアパートの家賃も貯まって、ライター家業を廃業しようかどうしようかって悩んでたとこだったんだから。
そうだったんですか？
I scratched my head. His dramatic reaction was a little embarrassing.
ま、半分は冗談だけどな。けど、一つ分かったことは、俺はHinamizawaって村が好きだってこと。いや、いろいろあって好きになったってのが本音かもな。なんてったって、死んでる奴の声なんか聞いたの初めてだし。俺も、安易だったのかもな。楽しけりゃいいって思って、なんとなく仕事をしてきたから、この先どうしようなんて迷うんだよな。
But I won't hesitate any longer. It seems like I finally managed to find my way.
俺も決めたよ。死者の霊ってのは確かに存在するし、意志は肉体が滅んでも残る。時には生きている人間の体を借りて意志が行動を起こすことだってあるんだもんな。あんたらに会えてよかったよ。俺はこの仕事を続けていこうと思う。近い将来必ず服部じゃなく本当の
荒川さん、
ま、その時になったら連絡してくれ。安月給で走り回ってばっかりの仕事だけどさ。
はい。
しかし参るよな。ヤクザのお家騒動はともかく、死者が生前のことを泣いて詫びたなんて話、週刊セブンじゃ絶対載せてくんねえだろうし、どうしよっか頭が痛いぜ。
Maybe you should go see if the meat department is hiring. Well, market, excuse me, not department. Otobe quietly chuckled. Huh. So he can smile like this. Otobe had a bright, youthful smile on his face. Then, Towa-san bowed her head to us, before heading out to see Miyuki-chan. After watching her confidently walk off, the rest of us turned to one another, and quietly nodded.
あんたたち、町までは遠い。送ってくよ。
Along of Shion-san's voice, I heard the sound of a car horn. A black car had pulled up right behind us without me even realizing it. Shion-san got out of there, and a man whose appearance betrayed his aura walked over to us as if guiding her. Sensing his power, I braced myself for a moment.
ああ、こいつは葛西だ。別に心配いらないよ。
That's what that tip was for. The one that mentioned Kasai. That was basically the story giving me a hint as to Mion's true identity. Because Kasai was Shion's bodyguard. Huh. Can't believe I missed that.
はい。
I couldn't help but give an overly formal response. What am I doing? Then we climbed into the elegant car, and Kasai-san drove us down a straight road leading to the village. Otobe quickly fell asleep. He must have felt relieved. I idly gazed out the window. Then, at the foot of the rough mountains, a massive pile of rubble came into view.
あれは廃墟にしては崩れすぎみたいだけど。
学校跡だよ。籠城事件で爆発した後、ずっと放置されてるんだ。葛西、泊まってくれる？
Yep. Look at this handiwork of yours, oh Reina-san. Still standing firm. Despite all of the elements of nature trying to wither it all away, there is still a new pile of garbage. I really shouldn't make light of this. Still, because this is a sad sight here. It really is. Kasai-san seemed to completely understand. He parked a car along the side of the ruins, then opened the rear passenger door. Shion-san slowly emerged from the car and let out a deep sigh.
みんなが死んだ場所。あの20年以上も前の事件で、お姉も友達も私が全てを失った。生き残ったのは私とお姉の好きだった男の子。その子もその後死んじゃったんだけどね。だからね、思うんだよ。あの日の爆発で私も一緒に死ぬべきだったんじゃないかってね。私だけが取り残されたと今日までずっと思ってきたんだ。ずーっと。
シオンさん。
Shion-san forlornly gazed on as the wind blew through the mountain of rubble. Has she been tormented for the last 20 years by the lonely thought that she was the one left behind? She abandoned the name Shion and lived her life as Shion Sonozaki to protect the Sonozaki family. Enduring that for all this time must have been so painful.
お姉さんは言ってましたよ。人生は歯磨き粉のチューブみたいなもんだって。チューブの最後のひとひねりまで使い切ってこそ人生だって。
Yes, this is what your wannabe dentist sister told us.
お姉が いかにもお姉らしい例えだわ。
Otobe came crawling out of the car. Shion-san's booming laughter must have woken him up. Shion-san seemed lost in thought while gazing at his face. Then, once he came closer, she patted him on the head.
シオンさん。
あんたもしっかり生きな。私もしっかり生きるよ。血と荘園の日々だけどね。
The gunpowder is fun. The gunpowder I could live with, but the blood, not so much. Otobe suddenly seemed to be embarrassed about a woman stroking his head. His face turned red. When Shion-san saw that, she quietly muttered to herself.
あんた、サトシ君みたいだね。なんでもないよ。
Mion said the same thing. Shion-san turned away from us and gazed at the school, while playing with her hair on her fingertips.
一瞬、あんたが昔の友達に見えただけさ。ちょっと似てるんだ。なんていうか、こう。いいやつだった。
A good guy who was pushed way too far.
それじゃ、サトシって人もここで。
はい、くだらないおしゃべりはおしまい。信頼があればこの戦争は一気に決着する。どさくさに紛れてつけ込んできやがった近江の連中にもきっちりお礼参りしないといけないしね。
Although it may still be a while longer until my work is complete. Shion-san whispered that, then turned back this way. The face of the person who had muttered Satoshi-kun had completely vanished.
シオンさん。
なんだい？ぐずぐずしてると置いてくよ。
シオンさんに、どうしてもここで伝えておきたいことがあるんです。hinamizawa沢を離れる前に、ミオンさんが最後に言ってました。シオンさんに伝えてほしいって。
え？
Shion-san stopped in her tracks.
面倒ついでに。もう一つ。
I recalled a moment just before Mion Sonozaki's death, when she requested something of Otobe. Come to think of it, what'd she ask him?
ミオンさんが、私たち、次もまた、双子がいいねって、そう言ってました。
頑張れ、ミオン。私もシオンを頑張る。ありがとう、シオン。頑張ろう、ミオン。困ったことがあったらいつでも相談して。私たちはいつだってそうやってきた。それはこれからも何も変わらないよ。
Sheesh. That's seriously what you choose to say at a bitter end? Even though she helped out back then, she's always butting in where she doesn't belong, treating me like a child. I'm an adult now, you know? Much older than you were. Seriously. Can't believe your last words were something so naive. And the word next made me sad, because you reminded me that you're already gone. I wasn't interested in reminiscing about the old days. I wanted to talk about those memories with you. I wanted to keep you by my side forever. Sis.
おね。
Tears started to well up in Shion-san's eyes.
シオンさん。
何当たり前のこと言っちゃってるんですか？
Shion-sen pulled the Tamahajiki sword from its sheath and thrust the blade into the ground near the former school building.
ありがとう。おね。
Then, Shion-san turned and didn't look back. Somewhere among the ruins, a single playing card fluttered in the wind. That card probably dated back to the days when Mion Sonozaki played at the school. The playing card gently fell to the ground, nestled next to the sword.
ありがとう、園崎さん。さようなら、Hinamizawa.
Then I too started walking without looking back. All the while, swearing in my heart that I'd never look back on the past. Otobe and Tawada-san had already started walking forward. The car Kasai-san drove us here and slowly descended the mountain path. Everyone here started walking toward their own separate future. All of us started at a disadvantage. Otobe's future involved repaying a debt he could never pay off alone. Tawada-san's future included being arrested and sent to prison. Sonozaki-san and Kasai-san's future involved fighting to protect the future of the Sonozaki group. And my future is to start building something meaningful in my day-to-day life, while panicking about the uncertainty of tomorrow. None of us will have it easy in the future. But regardless, we'll keep walking forward, fighting alone against our fate, for the right to say we lived. Mion Sonozaki and Hinamizawa village. Farewell, and thank you. A refreshing blue sky was spread out beyond the mountains, shining the light of hope down on our future. New tips unlocked. Unruly girl. Well, so we got one more thing, huh? Well, we don't have just one more thing. there's still the other story routes, other choices I have to make. But I'm not gonna lie. Didn't think I'd get to. I didn't think I'd get to what I assume is the golden ending for this arc right within the first shot. Well, oh wait, no, I didn't do that. That's right. I made one bad decision along the way and got myself prematurely killed. So never mind. Wasn't quite that lucky this time. This story didn't turn out how I expected it to towards the end. Especially in regards to who our attackers end up being. But when I think about it now, I guess it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't be, that nobody involved within the Great Hinamizawa Disasters conspiracy would have been involved in this story at all. Because that disaster, by the time this story arc takes place, occurred decades prior. So that gave the bad guys, in that instant, more than enough time to cover their tracks. Even by the time that Hinamizawa would be opened back up to the general public, as long as they did their job thoroughly, the people that were actually responsible for the incident would have nothing to worry about when it came to anybody happening upon the village and exploring it. Because again, any trace of their wrongdoing would have already been long since scrubbed away, either by they themselves, or by the elements of nature. Over the course of this several decades, the village was abandoned. There was nothing, and by that point too, the people that were directly or indirectly involved with the incident too have likely long since moved on, or maybe dead, maybe died of old age, or what have you. They would have been long gone and out of anybody's ability to realistically go after, if that makes sense. Like there was nothing that anybody could realistically feasibly do at that point to really prove that what happened in the village was a part of a man-made and nefarious scheme to advance certain people's political interests. Simply put, the bad guys for that incident have long since won. So why would they care? Why would they care to spy on the village once it became open to the public? They've won. So when you look at it like that, I guess it makes sense that the people who were attacking us weren't involved with those people in Tokyo after all, but were instead a completely unrelated faction. And I guess with that, on a related note, it also makes sense that, well, with all of that having just been said by me, it would make sense that we wouldn't really, that we never really explored any of these characters investigating the village to see if anything nefarious may have happened, because, well, they wouldn't have found anything. And that's clearly not what this story was going for anyway. If anything, this story ended up turning out to be more of a character study for pretty much everyone in the main cast that featured in it, and exploring the concept of morality and personal responsibility for one's actions. Again, the story did not go the way I initially expected it to at all, but I can't say I view it as a bad thing in this case. It's just different than what I was expecting, that's all. I will admit that a couple things towards the end, like how Shion was able to survive that gunshot wound, courtesy of Mion, quote unquote, sacrificing herself. Little details like that towards the end popping up, definitely felt super contrived. But past that, yeah, I think I actually kind of enjoyed this story arc a little bit, more than I expected to. Again, just not for the reasons I initially expected. I still wouldn't say it matches up to the level found within the main story arcs of Higurashi. But it definitely was it definitely feels to me like a definite improvement from the past couple arcs that I've already read up till this point in the console arcs. From a writing standpoint, character analysis standpoint, it was interesting. Different but interesting. Anyway, let's see what this last tip here is before I bring this episode to a close. Unruly girl.
しかし、相変わらずとんだじゃじゃ馬っぷりだな。
Oh, there's still a little bit more left here, huh?
暴力団の抗争に単身で乗り込むなんて、正気の沙汰じゃないぞ。
本当は偵察のつもりだったんだけど、成り行きでついね。まあ、お目当ての星はあげたわけだし、結果オーライでいいじゃない。
Exactly. Who cares if we were all thrust into an impromptu group therapy session in between gunfights? It led to us achieving our objective, and that's all that matters. Results.
まったく。
She may be my daughter, but sometimes I wonder if I did something wrong while raising her. It makes me feel uneasy. Her boss and her husband would have a pain in their gut if they knew the situation here.
伊吹くんが嘆いていたよ。度胸とセンスがあるのは大いに結構だが、あの突撃思考はなんとかなりませんかってな。組体の刑事らしいといえばそれまでかもしれんが、こうも後先考えない行動を続けていたら、命がいくらあっても足りないぞ。
伊吹課長は心配性なんだってば。虎穴にいらずんば孤児を得ずってことわざもあるでしょうに。
Spoken like a true risk taker.
しかしだな。
それに、マフィアの現場に乗り込むとき、何度も切り込み隊長役を進んで務めていた方に言われたくありませんわね。赤坂警視正殿。
Okay, she's got you there. I had no refutation for that. Moreover, even though she's the one who happily listened to those heroic exploits, it was none other than me who proudly told them to her. In other words, you reap what you sow. And the plants are gorgeous.
ゆういちくんも大変だな。こんなじゃじゃ馬のどこに惚れたのか。一度ゆっくり話したいくらいだ。
彼が結婚の挨拶に来た時、ものすっごい鬼の形相でいい度胸だな。と凄んでいたのはどこのどちら様でしたっけ？あの人未だに夢にまで見るらしいんだけど。
あれはだな。
I wish I could actually see his nightmare face. But no! Apparently the people who made this arc were just too lazy to give you an older looking character sprite. I bet you'd have a glorious beard or something. Fuck these people for denying me a chance to see your glorious beard.
娘を持つ父親なら誰でも一度はやってみせる当然のことだ。お前も人の親になればその気持ちがわかる。
はいはい、さようでございますか。
Yuki shrugged her shoulders with an apathetic look on her face, clearly not convinced. She was such a bashful little girl in the old days. But nowadays, I can't even see a hint of that. Growing up does that to you. In fact, over the years, it seems like she's become more like my wife, Yukie.
本当に。お前はお母さんそっくりになってきたな。
Could Yukie also handle a gun as well as Miyuki?
今のお前を見たら、草場の陰から泣き出すぞ。
はぁ？何言ってるのよお父さん。いくら冗談でも勝手にお母さんを殺さないでよね。
You gotta kill her with dignity.
後で言いつけてやるから。
That moment, I lost my voice, struggling to understand the meaning of what Miyuki just said. Did Miyuki just say, you can't kill her? Talking about her like she's still alive?
おいおい、みゆき。お前、何を言っているんだ？
I think you might be reading too much into this.
あ、そうだ、思い出した。出かける間際にお母さんからお父さんに渡してって薬預かってたんだ。はい、これ。
Or maybe not?
おう。
もう、ダメだよ、お父さん。最近薬切らしても取りに行くのが面倒くさいってなかなか病院に行かないんだって。
Medicine.
忙しいのはわかるけど、お母さん本気で心配してたよ。どうしたの？お父さん。
ああ、いや。
I stared down at the pill case Miyuki handed me while trying to sort out my jumbled thoughts. Impossible. Can't be. First off, Yukie fell down the stairs and hit her head at the hospital just after giving birth to Miyuki. Since then, we spent the past 29 years living without her, struggling to conceal our loneliness and sorrow. So, there's no way Yukie gave Miyuki this medicine, and there's no chance that she's feeling worried about me. Well, this is Hinamizawa. I almost said Silent Hill. Wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe this is just a misunderstanding. Didn't I call Yukie early this morning? I told her I'll be home late, so a late night dinner would be best. Then Yukie laughed and responded, then I'll prepare some side dishes that can be warmed up quickly. Didn't she? And then she ended the conversation by saying this. Alright. Please, go on ahead. Then, I suddenly came back to my senses. And that's when I realized I was crying.
何？お母さんと何かあったの？
いや、なんでもない。ああ、なんでもないんだ。
Maybe his memory is being influenced by the different timelines somehow? Because if I remember right, Akasaka also was influenced by that stuff to some extent too, wasn't he? I turned to Miyuki, who was looking worried, and smiled at her, while wiping the tears away with my fist. Then I slipped the pill case into my suit pocket, pulled out a tissue, and blew my nose.
すまんすまん。実はちょっと花粉症でな。
Yeah, it's just allergies. You know how they are. You're all fine, and then suddenly, BAM! Your face explodes and starts leaking all over the place. Like a crushed watermelon.
薬を飲んできたんだが、ここは結構きついようだ。
なんだ、びっくりさせないでよもう。てっきり大喧嘩でもしたんじゃないかって心配したじゃない。
Miyuki let out a huge sigh of relief. Even though her mouth has gone sharper as she's grown, that gentle demeanor of hers hasn't changed at all. And so, I understood. All over again. That's the reason Soramachi-kun fell in love with Miyuki. Why he proposed to her.
それはともかく、そろそろ案内をしてくれる連中が到着する頃だな。待ち合わせ場所は、旧南沢入り口のバス停前だったな。
ああ、それなら私、さっきそこを通ってきたから。これから私は古出神社に一度戻るけど、その前に案内するよ。お父さんの車どれ？
ああ、あの手前から2番目の黒いやつだが。ってみゆき、お前の車は？
いや、それがさ、さっき探してようやく見つけたんだけど、積みにはともかくタイヤやらハンドルやらもうあっちこっちが派手にぶっ壊されちゃってて、レッカーで持って帰っても修理代考えると置き捨てていった方が良さそうなんだよね。
Maybe you can get something decent from the scrapyard.
あの車って確か先月買ったばかりの新車だろ。
Oh, it's a new car too. Oh man, that sucks.
もうお釈迦にしたのか？
Sorry, Daddy. I did already wreck it. And what's more, she begged me for an expensive one, so I gave in and covered the down payment. She really scrapped her car in less than a month? I feel a headache coming on. Well, hey, go easy on her. It's not like she was taken for a joyride or something. Yakuza are serious business, you know.
ねえ、お父さん。園崎組に損害賠償って請求できるかな？
There you go! Claim damages!
知るか。
Oh, that was a little weird. The black bar is just vanishing for a minute there. So, there really is nothing left of this, right? Yep. Well, how about that? Well then, I guess that's that for now, like I said. And I guess next time I'll start exploring the different story routes in this story arc that I didn't take and see where those paths lead me. Doesn't look like there'll be too much side content I'll have to see here. If that little PNG guide I've got handy here is anything to go by. But I don't think I don't really think I'll need that. That guide, I mean. And I guess after we get done exploring the sides of the story that we didn't get to see, we can start the next story arc after this one. In which case, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this latest episode of the Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Take care.